guys, it's Ariana. Welcome back to my channel. So for tonight's video, we're going to be reading some more creepy stories. As per usual, I have my wicked candle in here, making the whole room smell like caramel apples. I already started reading this story, but then I realized my mic wasn't on, so that's fun. This is from the Backwoods Creepy section. It is from the Reddit author, the_tethered, and it's titled, What I Saw on the Road in Mantua. I don't know if I'm saying that name right. Someone correct me in the comments down below. I'm sure I'm saying it wrong, but maybe I'm saying it right. This is a true story. First, for some background. Mantua, Ohio is a railroad town boasting a creepy town center with an old railway station, surrounded by a rural landscape peppered with brick buildings, sprawling properties, dense woods, and cornfields, guarded by a sunny farmhouse of varying age and size. It has a nice high school and is on the nicer end of the spectrum as far as rural towns go. 44-S is a one-lane each direction highway. I make this drive regularly to visit my then boyfriend. I know the drive well, and I'm in an area I feel comfortable and very safe in. I usually have music on, and I enjoy the drive and the fresh air. One day in the middle of summer in 2011, I was driving 44-S into Mantua. It was mid-afternoon with plenty of sun on a beautiful clear day. As I'm driving, I pass an area I know well that's just a few miles from my destination. On my right, there are houses and 2 to 3 acre lots with big front yards. Long driveways, attached garages, shaded by tall trees with thick foliage, and everyone along the stretch has dense woods in their backyard. On my left, across the road, there is a cornfield that butts up to a deep grassy drainage culvert. It's a flat area of grass about 3 feet across that meets the road, before dipping into the culvert and vanishing into the corn. This goes on for quite a while, roughly a mile, give or take. I see something that looks off up ahead. It was very hard to make out, but there's something on the opposite side of the road where the cornfields are. It was a ways off, but it was a large, brown, hairy mass right next to the road. It's too dark in color to be a dead deer. Maybe a cow? No, not that either. Something about this mass on the side of the road is unlike anything I've ever seen, and I just can't figure out what it is because I keep having to look back at the road. I see it move. Maybe whatever it is isn't roadkill, and maybe it's just an animal grazing, and I roll down my window to get a better look. I slow down a little as I pass by, and all at once, I realize what I'm seeing. The hairy mass is a dead dog, being eaten by another dog. The biggest dog I've ever seen in my fucking life, with the scariest, emptiest eyes. As I pass by, this thing pulls its face out of the dog carcass it's eating to look up at my car as it's passing by and locks eyes with me. They looked right through me though, and it felt like what I can only describe as pure evil. I pass in my car at about 40 miles per hour, and I start to freak out and roll at my window. I checked my mirror for a double take because I absolutely do not believe what I'm just seeing, and I see its head is already back down again, eating, and out of view with no other defining features. It was totally unbothered by me and my car. I slow down, then speed up, then slow down, then speed up again, and I want to know what I saw, but I completely am freaking out. I look for the nearest driveway on my right side, maybe 50 to 75 yards away, and I peel into the driveway to turn around and go back. As I put my car in park, I see that a man is home and is sitting outside in a lawn chair with his garage open, facing parallel to the road, blissfully unaware of what's just up the road behind him with his 2 Labradors around him. He sees me and assumes that I'm just using his driveway to turn around, but is unsettled when I drove almost all the way up the driveway, park my car, and get out. I yelled for him to take his dogs inside, that he needed to get inside the house. I told him what I saw, and he then gets up out of his lawn chair to look where I'm pointing, but the trees at the end of the property block the scene from its view, and it's way too far away. I get back in my car and I keep warning him to take his dogs inside. For if I was in his place, I probably would have called the cops of someone who came ripping into my driveway, rambling about some wild animal in a panic. I was terrified and full of adrenaline with no regards of ruining this guy's peaceful afternoon. I don't remember how I left, but I got back in my car, backed out onto the 44, and headed back north from the way that I came to get a better look at this thing. Still, from the safety of my moving car though. I passed where it was and it was gone. I drove back and forth one more time in disbelief of the whole thing. Further back than I thought to be safe, thinking I'd underestimate the distance between the carcass and the house that I stopped at. But there was a hole in the corn where whatever this thing was clearly drug, and the dog was eating it away from the road. I remember sitting stopped at the side of the road after turning around again and heading back south, looking across the road at the hole in the corn that looked far too innocent to do it justice to what I had just seen. No one driving by would even notice. I had my head on swivel around my car and locked the doors, but something told me I wouldn't see it again and to get out there and then, so I did. When I passed the house again, the man and the dogs weren't in the yard anymore and the garage was closed. Completely rattled, I called my then boyfriend, whose house I was headed to. As I drove away, I remember correctly he didn't answer. When I got there, I was so shaken up and couldn't make sense of what I had just saw. This was right after high school, and he still lived with his folks in a creaky farmhouse in Ravenna that they had just moved into. I did not feel safe in that house that night. It brought back all my childhood fears of being afraid of the dark and what was under the bed, like it could be anywhere. And I was also in my 20s. I remember this like it was yesterday, and even though I've shared this story with a few friends, I've never written it down. Whatever this was built like a dog, but bigger than any dog I've ever seen. It was very dark brown with dirty hair. I've considered that it might have been a black bear with mange, but even though I only got a quick glimpse, it didn't move like a bear. And the piercing eyes in broad daylight, those were something else. It was canine, not Bigfoot or any of the other common myths that I'm aware of. Maybe someone here will know. I haven't done too much research into what it could be because I think part of me is scared to know what it could be. Black dog, werewolf, I have no idea. It was big, at least 200 pounds, maybe bigger. The dog it was eating was also quite large. I'm a skeptic. To this day, this is the only unexplainable creepy thing I've seen with my own two eyes that truly shook me to my core. For months, I couldn't stop thinking about it, and it still scares and disturbs me to tell this story. There is very weird stuff out there in the rural Midwest. Have any other skeptics seen something like this in the backwoods or the Midwest? Update, whatever the beast of Bray Road is, that's what I saw. No large human-like arms or features like a werewolf dogman. I'm confident I saw a real animal. It did have a big shoulder and deep chest like a dog. Someone here suggested a boar, which I hadn't considered, but this was absolutely a canine. Thank you all. If anyone else in the area at this time has seen this thing, I would love to talk with you. And that's their whole story, so I have no idea what you saw, but that is absolutely fucking terrifying. That is so creepy. Holy crap. I don't even know what I would do in that situation, but I wouldn't have gone back. You were very brave for deciding to go back and check it out to see if it was still there. Like, why? Why? I would not do that. That is fucking terrifying. The next one that I'm going to read is from the True Scary Story section. It is from the Reddit author visual_personality11, and it's titled Phantom House. This happened in June of 2022, and I haven't been able to stop thinking about it since. My buddy lives in a rural Welsh village, one with a population of what I assume to be less than 100. Houses are fairly spread out, and it's around 3 to 4 miles away from the nearest town or other village. When I head up there to stay with him, we enjoy going on night walks along the country lanes since it's really quiet and there are barely any cars out after 10 p.m. And this particular night was no different. I feel the need to include that this house is connected to an old chapel, and he's responsible for cleaning it, looking after it, etc. Beforehand, we had been fucking around in the chapel, throwing footballs around and having a laugh. But we thought nothing of it. About less than half an hour later, we headed out to go on a walk. It was me, my buddy Lucas, and our other friend Reese. Now, Lucas knows these roads like a back of his hand. He's lived there practically his whole life, and he has walked this particular route that we are headed more times than I can even count. We were walking and ended up just about a mile away from the nearest village, where an old, abandoned hotel used to be. The building's been knocked down by now, and there were fences blocking where it used to be. This didn't creep us out much, but what happened next did. Lucas pointed through a thick layer of trees at what seemed to be a house with no lights on at all. And despite walking this way many times before, he had never seen this house. He insisted that the architecture was a lot different to the houses we usually saw around this area. It was very European. He wanted to get a closer look, but the house was blocked off by a construction fence, which we thought was really strange. I shone my phone light through the fence and we got a quick glimpse of an actual building, but then came a weird feeling of absolute dread. And we all got this feeling at the exact same time. It was eerily quiet. No winds, no bugs, nothing. Now, feeling incredibly uncomfortable, we continued along the trail a little further away from the house. Nearby was a wall blocking off a field, so we sat on the wall to kind of comprehend what had just happened. Across the field, about a mile off, maybe less, was the village church. We had tried to laugh at the situation, covering our uncomfortable feelings with jokes, until a single church bell rang out across the field. Just one ring. By this time, it must have been around 11:30 p.m., so it wouldn't have made any sense for the church bell to be ringing. And even so, it only rang out once, which wouldn't have made sense either. We all kind of looked at each other, and Reese insisted that she felt like we shouldn't have been there, speaking exactly what we were all thinking. Me and Lucas agreed, and we quickly continued onto the path and through a wooden area. The walk back to Lucas's place was long and grueling, and the feeling of dread didn't help at all. We didn't speak about the experience the whole way back, until we felt safe enough to. Lucas was hung up on the fact that he had never seen that house before, and had never felt that uncomfortable in this particular area before, despite doing this nighttime walk countless times. So we searched around the area on a live satellite system, and discovered that where the house should have been was nothing but a patch of dirt and some shrubbery. The whole situation seemed completely fucked up. Everything just felt wrong. The house, the church bell, even the feeling we all got while being in the area. The feeling of absolutely not being welcome. Reese did a quick research online on ley lines and if any of them are across each other in the area. Ley lines are prehistoric lines that run across the UK, and some believe them to be hotspots for paranormal activity. And much to our horror, we discovered that exactly where we were sitting on the wall, two ley lines crossed each other. To us, that explained why we must have felt uncomfortable, like we weren't welcome. We decided to go back the next day, in the daylight, and discovered the house was not there. The three of us were completely sure that we had seen a building, Lucas going as far as to say that he could see the architectural structure of the house. Even in the comfort of the daylight, the area just felt wrong. It sounds insane, I know, but it's been itching my brain for the past few weeks and I needed to tell someone about it, because my family still doesn't believe me. Lucas and Reese's families don't believe them either. I'm hoping by getting the story out there that someone might have an explanation as to why the house was there and then suddenly gone. An explanation as to why we felt so scared and dreading what would happen if we stayed in the area too long. I can't help but think it had something to do with us fucking around in the chapel. Maybe I sound completely insane, but this whole situation still doesn't sit right with me. We all felt the same thing and are certain that the house was there that night and the next it was gone. We know what we saw and what we felt, but have absolutely no explanation for it. And that is their whole story. Holy crap, the fact that you heard a church bell ring out in the middle of the night is fucking terrifying. And just one ring, bells definitely don't just ring once. Like, what the fuck? That was definitely paranormal. And the fact that the house just disappeared. How do you see a building and then the next day you go back in broad daylight and it's just absolutely disappeared? That is creepy. That is so creepy. I hate that so much. Thank you so much for allowing me to read that story. That is so weird. I hate that so much. Oh my God. And I'm very curious. I didn't know that ley lines were actually real. I always thought that that was just something made up in like paranormal stories or like TV shows and stuff. That's very interesting. I had no idea. The next story that I'm going to read is from the Spoopy Cjades section, and it is from the Reddit author _Aspen_Moon, and it's titled, That One Time I Was Dog Sitting. A few years ago, I was dog sitting for one of my dad's friends. This dog was big, but he was still technically a puppy. This isn't the dog's real name, but I'm going to call him Tim for the story. I was watching this dog at my dad's friend's house, so I didn't live there, and it was just me and Tim. Before this, my dad's friend had said I could take him out around the block, and it was a very nice day, so I did just that. I didn't have any keys to lock the door though, so I could only lock it from the inside. However, I just assumed my dad's friend would know I had no house key and it was just around the block, so I wouldn't be long, so I went anyway. After the walk, which was perfectly normal, everything in the house seemed to be in place. I locked the door and I went back to cuddling Tim on the chair while watching TV like I had been before. Now, after a bit more time had passed, Tim suddenly gets up and speeds to the stairs by the basement, and the door to them isn't closed. He starts barking his head off while staying at the top of the stairs. I, of course, come over and try to calm him down while freaking out, wondering if someone came in while we had been on the walk, also trying to see if I can see anyone down there. After a few minutes of Tim, calm down, Tim, there's nothing there, I suddenly hear the voice of a lady I've never once in my life heard. Up to the point, I had always wondered how on earth it came from everywhere, yet nowhere at the same time. The voice just said, "It's going to be okay." And while not a threatening thing to say, I really didn't give a shit. I'm home alone in the house of someone I barely know whose dog is barking at something in the fucking basement. While the cat they also have is just staring at me as if expecting something. And to top it off, I heard a fucking weird voice and have no self-defense skills or even any strength. So then I just kind of stand there, pathetically trying to calm down the dog. And I'm actually going insane, staring at the cat, just thinking, what if cats can talk? Then after a few minutes, I do the most stupid thing ever. I go into the basement with nothing. No knife, no fork, no frying pan, no dog toy, nothing besides my worthless noodle arms, and I can't even open a water bottle half the time without help. Luckily for me, there was nothing down there. Checked all the rooms, nothing. After I do this, Tim stops barking. I head back upstairs and dismiss it as Tim being a puppy, the cat staring as cats do, and being a Christian of the time of this happening, decided to just try and tell myself God sent an angel to speak to me. Never happened again. I dog sat the same dog in the same house other times and nothing has ever happened. But despite what I told myself, it still freaks me out, especially considering I'm not a Christian anymore, so the angel excuse seems kind of silly now. Oh my God, that's really creepy. I don't know what you heard or what the dog heard, but they do say that dogs can hear and see things that we can't see. So maybe something was actually there. That is fucking terrifying. And the fact that you heard a voice in the house and the dog was already barking and freaking out and looking into the fucking basement, I would have left. I would have dipped out of that fucking house so fast. I would have picked up the dog and the cat and I would have left. So I'm curious though, did you ever talk to the homeowner and tell them what happened? Did you ever have an explanation? Like, did anyone ever experience anything paranormal in that house prior? I'm really curious. If you have an update, please let me know because I am very curious as to what the homeowner would think of their dog barking at their basement and a crazy, creepy, mysterious voice talking to you when you're supposed to be home alone. That's so fucking creepy. So this is where I'm going to end the video. I have to actually head out. I am going to my friend's house for dinner tonight. So I need to head out the door and I will edit this and post this in the next couple of days. If you guys are interested in this makeup look, it will be up on my TikTok and it will also be in the short section on YouTube. I'm not too sure if I'm going to post this on Instagram because my last reel didn't do very well and I'm just kind of over the whole concept of Instagram right now. It's garbage. But anyway, this look will be up on my socials if you guys are interested in following that creepy story and following this makeup look. It's very easy to do. A beginner can do it. I am not by any means very good at doing makeup and I can do this look. So if I can do it, you guys can do it. So if you guys are interested, please go check out my other socials and thank you so much for watching this video. If you guys have any creepy stories that you want to share with me, please feel free to message me either over Instagram or my email and I will definitely read your guys' personalized stories. If you guys made it to the end of the video, please leave me your favorite blue and yellow emoji because that is my makeup look theme tonight. It is blue and yellow. Or you can just leave me Dory. A fish is good too. Just let me know if you made it to the end of the video and I will see you guys at the next one. Bye.